Jordan the Cavs, what's up, guys? And today I just wanted to kind of run a new idea past you guys and try it out. Tonight I watched Painkiller already for the first time. It was episode 61. That's because Norco forced me to watch it. But I just wanted to try a new episode series where I basically take some of the things they talked about on the show and kind of share my opinions as well as get your guys' opinions. And kind of just debate it in the comments. I don't know. I think that'd be fun. I've never seen anyone do this before because they talk about a lot of controversial topics. And no, smaller guys ever get their opinions in because so many people spam the chat. So I just wanted to make a little episode series about it. If you guys don't like it, I'll stop it. But if you guys do, I'll be more than happy to do this weekly and give you guys a little outlet to talk about your opinions as well. Because I know it feels good to get your opinions out and talk about them with other people. It's kind of like getting a burden off your shoulders. So anyway, I'm not going to answer any of the weird questions in the video. I'll answer them in the description below just because I don't want to have to explain myself on some of these because they're really, really weird. But anyway, the first one they talked about was the Somalian pirates and something they're doing when they're sending yachts as bait out there with armed tourists on them. And I don't know if that's valid or not. Like they said, there had been scams run like that before or a rumor spread around like that before. But if that is true, honestly, I think that's a great idea. It's another way to make money for governments, which, as you know, governments always need more money for some reason. It's another way to make money, as well as gives people that sense that they can do something, powerful like that. Like, someone like Wings that loves that feeling of, combat or action or having, weapons, stuff like that. It can give someone that feeling without putting them in any really, really severe danger, such as going in the military or robbing a bank or going on a crime spree, something like that. It can just give them that power in a safer environment. So honestly, I think that's a great idea. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. Whether that's even legal to happen or not, I don't know. But if that goes down, I honestly think that's a great idea. The second thing is they actually brought Hutch on the show, and they talked a little bit about, Hutch kind of being the quote-unquote boss or the supervisor of the community, and kind of him dictating how the community ran, and talking about how if they were to speak out against him, they'd be fired. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it, because he did make a comment a couple times that they were backing him to a corner, and I honestly felt a little bit like they were. They kind of brought him on the show, and they just jumped him with these questions, and kind of, forced him into this position of having to defend himself. The only way to defend himself was to almost degrade himself, and there's really no easy way out of that. To be honest, I don't look at anybody as a boss of the community. Hutch is one of the idols that people look up to. Even, from people I know more than Nanners. Even though Nanners is, quite a bigger person, but morally and kind of who they look up to in terms of opinions, all that kind of falls into Hutch's shoulders. Now, does that make him a supervisor of the community? No, because he doesn't run anything. He doesn't dictate anything that anybody does. But do people look up to him more? Obviously, yes. Whatever Hutch says, people either seem to 100% agree or flame the crap out of him for it. You never see anyone disagree, really, and not flame him for it, which is kind of a tough position to be in. But they kind of brought up the points that he wasn't a director, that he was higher up than a director, and that's not a fair assumption either to make. Just because he was offered this job at Machinima doesn't exactly mean that he's in more of a power position than you. He might have more sway in saying what Machinima does or doesn't do, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he controls your life in the palm of his hands. Hutch is a power position, obviously being one of only a couple YouTubers that actually work at the Machinima offices, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he can quote-unquote fire you. Now, what they did say was that if he were to speak out against you or to talk against you, that it could hurt your income and it could hurt your view count. That is true, obviously, if anyone in the community speaks out. But then they went on to say, and this is what I didn't agree with, that basically it wasn't fair for him to do it because of his position, but it was okay if they did it. If you look at Hutch's sub and view counts, and you look at someone like Woody or XJaws or White Boy, they're similar. Even White Boy outviews most of them. So really, to be honest, Hutch, though he may be in more of a power position in terms of opinion mattering, it's not exactly as if, how do I put this? It's not exactly as if it's the end-all, be-all in that kind of scenario. Woody could have just as much of effect on someone's channel as Hutch. Wings could. Kyle obviously could. Kyle's probably the biggest quote, I don't know if you call him gaming community, that came from the gaming community out there. But people like even White Boy 7th Street, though his opinion's not valued much, he has some diehard fans, and if he were to make a troll video on someone, he could really hurt someone's popularity throughout the community. They also talked about, they had DJ Keemstar on even, and I think Big Snacks on. They talked about dropping the N-bomb, and when it was okay, if it was okay, and how it was okay to say it. Personally, it's not a part of my daily vocabulary. It's not something that really offends or even comes into context in anything that me or any of my friends or family do. I live up in the north. I live up in Ohio. You know, it's really nothing up here in terms of racism. Down in the south, I know I've been down there. It is still a lot of tension down there in terms of, you know, when is it okay to say it? Is it okay to say it at all? I actually live by a pretty predominantly black town. Most of you know it. It's Akron, Ohio. I live about 10 minutes outside of that. So obviously it's pretty much okay as long as you finish it with the A and not the ER. As long as you use it in the correct context. Now, dropping it with the ER is only okay if it is not meant racially, which is also something they talked about. If you're talking about it and you're talking about is it okay and you say it, then yes, that is okay. I would understand that as acceptable. But if you walk up to a black person and say, I hate you because you're, and then you say it, no, that's not okay. That's racist. That could be very offensive. And I get why some people are offended by even adding the A on the end. Personally, I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. I don't get offended by names, especially over the internet. The internet really, you can call me anything you want on the internet. I would not care. But that's all I wanted to say about that. It's okay as long as you use it in the right context and don't try to offend anyone with it. Let's see. Bumping. They also talked about bumping. This is what I wanted to talk about too. Bumping is something where you bump your video up in the sub box by uploading, I think it's like an unlisted video or uploading a video and deleting it, and it bumps it back up to the top. Personally, I would never do it because I'm too lazy to, number one. And number two, it's just, you know, I don't see the point in it. You know, it might get you more views in the long run. It's not going to make that big of a difference. If people want to watch your videos and they're big fans, they will find your videos. They'll go to your channel. They'll find some way to do it. They talked about posting bulletins instead. Yeah, I definitely agree that posting bulletins would be a less controversial way to do it. But if you want to bump, I don't find that inappropriate or wrong. Just don't do it like multiple times. I think Woody was the one that brought up the example of he uploads his video when the European or the UK get home from school, which is about 6 to 9 hours ahead of when the United States people do, and then he bumps it back up when the US get home from school, so that, you know, everyone can see it, and it's a lot easier if you do want to see it at all. It really in the long run makes it easier on the subscribers to see your video when you bump it. But, you know, that's one of those things. They brought up the example of a gladiatorial arena when there's different weapons laying around that some are okay to use sometimes and they immediately become not okay to use, then they go back to being okay. Bumping, I'm sure one day will be socially accepted throughout YouTube. Just like asking for likes is semi-accepted and will eventually be fully accepted. It'll be forced on people. But, yes, that's that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is what he talked about on him and Ukrainian Limbs got in a fight. Personally, I don't think that's anyone's business what went on between them. What I heard, Ukrainian Limbs basically just wanted to use Woody for subs, which obviously is wrong, but that's their business. They can do whatever they want with it. You know, I don't think that Ukrainian Limbs should even be allowed back in this community like he was after what he said about the community, but that's for the commentators to decide. That's not for small people like me to decide. So anyway, those are my opinions on the Painkiller Already episode 61 show tonight. I'm not going to be covering the pre or the post show just because they talk about the weirdest crap in there. Like I said, I'll answer all the questions in the description because there was some really weird ones tonight. And if you missed it, it was extremely funny. I don't know if it's always this good. I've never watched it before, but go check it out. And yeah, so if you like the series, leave it a like, tell me in the comments, share your opinions, and I'll